that maybe we could talk this time about something entirely different. I want to talk about our environment. Sometimes we don't have any control over our environment, but it makes a big difference in how you feel. So you may not be able to control this when you're younger because you have parents and you live in a certain place and that's the way it is. But as you get older and you have more control of your life, you should just seriously think about where you want to end up. It changes everything because it alters your chances of employment. It affects your health. Your attitude can actually be altered by where you live because maybe you're living in a place that's making you upset all the time because there's fires or there's all kinds of pollution or there's all kinds of things to think about. So I want you to seriously consider where you would go that would give you happiness. And we all have things that we enjoy, and so your environment should include that. I'm not saying that you probably haven't considered some of these, but they're worth thinking about. That your whole life and your attitude and where you end up have a lot to do with you consciously thinking about the things that you want. The universe can't work with um, not realizing what it is you want because you haven't sat down long enough to figure it out. You owe it to yourself to do that because it will change what happens to you because it's every time you feel something or think something, it's traveling out into the universe as a form of energy. If it makes you feel good every time you look out your window and you're seeing something you love, doesn't that make sense? So that's what I'm saying. You want to immerse yourself in a positive place. And if it brings about this wonderful feeling every day, imagine what you could accomplish. Let's say that you have a lot of tendencies towards a simpler life. So maybe you're thinking that you would like to live on a farm. Maybe you want to be a dairy farmer, and so you want dairy cows. There are a number of different things you could do out in the country in that kind of a rural atmosphere. And that's fine if that's what you want. But think about it and look at it, find out exactly what's required to do these things, and then go about trying to get put in place so that you can enjoy that. And there's people that live in the city who love the city. They love the tall buildings. It's their idea of a good view. And of course, at night it's kind of spectacular. And if you happen to live in one of the tall buildings, then you're getting that kind of view. And maybe it's just easier for you because in the end you can walk to work, that kind of thing. So that's something to consider. And then there are those who like the idea of living in a city, but maybe a smaller scale. And they care about the environment, so they're thinking they want it to be a green city. So they want those spaces where they can walk and enjoy nature. Or maybe you're a person who needs to get out into the country and have lots of places where you can walk. Maybe you want to live in a smaller village or something like that. In any case, it's more important to you your what you look at outside and the fact that you can go out there and enjoy it. So you're thinking about long walks or you're thinking about skiing or you're thinking about all the outside activities. So This is something you really want to figure out. If you happen to be in an environment that is not really positive, and it's subject year after year to different things, like you've got flooding, or God forbid, you've got fires. But I want you to go one step further here. You might want to investigate where you decide to live and find out if it's subject to things like pollution. And there's all kinds of pollution. Maybe the city that you live in has regular garbage burning periods. That's so toxic, but it's something that occurs. So you have to think about that. You look into those things before you decide to move. The quality of your water is so important that it really bears thinking about, because you could end up maybe with decent drinking water, but the habits of the city is that perhaps it's got a drain pipe leading into a canal that's feeding into the ocean, or into your river. And let's say that you've decided that you want to live in a city, and you're finding out when you're there that there's some things that really annoy you, like maybe you love going to different shows. They're wonderful to attend. They're a lot of fun. But you realize afterwards, when you can take a look around, we as humans don't always respect the place that we're in. And so the environment takes a hit. For example, people don't pick up their trash. And that attracts all kinds of other critters, and they in turn cause problems. And we blame them. We end up with certain people who end up doing the majority of the work and doing that for us. About if you're a person who isn't necessarily careful about that, are you contributing to the issue? And that is a concern. Everybody should pick up their garbage. That's just a start. Recycling, of course, is really important. But take care of the area you're in and love where you live. I think you can make most areas into something livable if you care about it enough. Every time I think about an environment for myself, I think I've always thought that I would end up loving a little cottage or cabin out in the middle of the woods somewhere. When you're by yourself, it's not quite the same. But the value of living in the woods and living with the animals and that kind of thing, you're very much aware of your surroundings. You're very grateful for them, and you don't waste anything. But for me, the way I compromise, I end up with a big veggie garden. I know that the food is grown properly, and I also know that I was part of that, which is rather gratifying, because the way things are in grocery stores, you don't really know if nutrition is even there anymore. These are things we all have to consider, and I'm doing my part for me by having a veggie garden, and by doing that, all the little pollinators and all the little critters that benefit from a garden or that kind of space are served by it too. So I like that. I think we can all do something in that regard. We all need to do our part. So when you're thinking about where you should live or where you want to live, once you get there, also think about how you're going to keep it that way. And I think that contributes to you being a happier person. And I think that's all I have to say today on that subject. And thank you for coming by. And please subscribe to my channel. It helps me a great deal. Thank you.